enjoy the show.
It's been a while, man. It's been a while since we did a Tales of the Hunted podcast with one Michael Florio, creator of Wild Oni, which is expertly placed in the background for a little bit of product placement.
Like a little office area.
But you're working on something different, man, which will have a lot of people's, it'll tie into a lot of people's feelings. You know, especially with, as soon as I just checked out your Kickstarter, Moppets Got Talent, a new parody comic. The Moppet Theater is in danger of being lost. A talent show should secure the theater's safety, but a masked saboteur films the script.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
Hang on a second. I am way too fucking white. I'm like
So I gotta thank Matthew J. So for hooking me up with this, because he was originally asked to write it, and he doesn't do rated R stuff.
Yes.
So Kyle Adams is the owner for this. He runs Do You Poo with Bucurel. He facilitates all the Do You Poo covers. And so he wanted to create his own brand and kind of recreate that magic that Do You Poo has.
How is that spelled?
Exactly how it sounds. Do You Poo, like Winnie the Pooh, okay. P-O-O-H.
Okay. All right, that's classy.
So
I like
ever since Winnie the Pooh went public domain, Bucurel, the artist who facilitated these covers, did, I think there's over 100 homage covers of Do You Poo now. They did a small book which parodies some of the Marvel characters.
Did they do the classic cover crossover to where it's like Days of Future Past with everybody killed off? It's a very popular one.
I don't know John that. I remember they've been doing this really smart technique where as things come out in Hollywood, they parody those homages for maximum profit.
Okay.
They released recently a second edition to this book, which is going to give them more clout, called Tiggums versus Do You Poo, which is basically what's that, Willie, the Mickey Mouse character that went public domain recently, has the Venom suit on.
Mm-hmm.
And on Winnie the Pooh, which is wearing the Deadpool costume. So now they're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So Kyle Adams runs WKTJ Collectibles. And he wanted to recreate that magic and another type of parody. Mm-hmm. And so he approached me after he spoke with Matt Jasso. He was like, hey, I got this idea. Let's write it. And of course, I ran it down on parody comics and being really careful when you step on those lines when they're not public domain.
Yes.
I wish there was a few things that we had changed in the art. But I'm gonna let that be, on him. I had a lot of fun writing the story.
Yeah.
Jim Henson is probably one of the most profound creators of our lifetime.
Yeah.
He's profoundly in tune outside. A lot of his movies growing up, like the 1986 Muppets movie, which I actually pulled on a lot of inspiration from for writing this. So the idea of the Moppets Got Talent is Americans Got Talent featuring a celebrity deathmatch element.
I love
the story is,
I love that. Oh my God, yeah.
The story is basically the Moppets, which are the Moppets for continuity purposes and parody purposes, so we avoid any kind of litigation.
Yeah.
The Moppets are losing their studio.
Part, gang, if you're watching at home, that litigation is very important.
Yeah, because Jim Henson is still very much an IP under the Disney patronage, and so long as Disney's around, they're going to find you.
You don't want Disney hunting you down.
Yeah, you don't want to F and F Disney, man. They'll hit you with a cease and desist real fast.
I've told people on the Lugnuts podcast for years now how Honda has been hunting people down with those Takata airbags and showing them gruesome pictures like, do you want to fix your airbag yet? Is this your child? Just get your recall done is the point. But, litigation-wise, you don't want that kind of litigation power coming at you like Disney.
I think
Everybody's
it's on the. I
scared
think it's on the line.
of
If they
bills.
wanted to make a case against it, they probably could. Kyle has to listen because we've changed all the names. Some of the characters have difference in appearances. So there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities
even in the
setting.
Kickstarter. Miss Piggy is wearing a bikini. We've never seen her wear that kind of bikini. It is totally a work of fan fiction. All right. In my first podcast
so
company,
this is like
we had a
the
t-shirt.
Spartans parodies.
Yeah, we had a parody T-shirt in my first podcast company that was a work of fan art, but it was it was an Ewok with a Sith lightsaber, and it said Yub Nub. And
I mean, look at my shirt, man. I mean,
exactly.
if it was a real big issue, I wouldn't be able to wear this. You know,
you wouldn't be able to buy that shirt off Etsy or this questionable website, which is probably phishing for your information. You wouldn't be able to buy that shirt there. I mean, if you actually get the shirt and you still get phished, I mean, still kind of a basic transaction, isn't it?
It's all on that
what all the
corporate
major companies are doing to
free
you
marketing.
anyway. They're just taking your information, but at least this way you get a T-shirt.
See, so like we have this conversation in comics all the time, especially in Artist Alley, and I'm sure Frank could speak to this. If it was a real big issue, they would shut down Artist Alley completely because nobody would be drawing anybody else's characters.
Oh yeah,
under copyright or any other brand out there.
As long as you're not really if you do a sketch of an IP character, that they don't really go after. It's mass producing that work. That's when they start coming after you. If they were going to go after somebody, it would be the person purchasing.
So it's essentially like preventing somebody from becoming like a Bob Ross. Because
it's kind of a weird thing, you know. So
that's an infamous case with that one, because that old lady swindled the hell out of him, and then went to his brother, who he was estranged from, and he just signed the document. His son went back and said, "Hey, you stole all my dad's stuff." Like, you won't actually find a legitimate Bob Ross painting out there. It'll probably just be a reprint from something she did. That guy got swindled.
Oh yeah.
His family is just like, everybody knows Bob Ross, but his family doesn't get anything from that. Once again, litigation.
Artists don't make great businessmen unless they actually were businessmen.
In a sense, they have to. I mean, like, I'm horrible. I'm horrible at it. It's something that, you know, it really would behoove, you know, the artist to learn a bit of business about it. You cannot leave it to the kindness of strangers, unfortunately. You know, your wife. Yeah, okay, you know, sure, right.
What do you mean? Everyone's always nice to me. That's just, people are all honest. All right, you guys did.
Says that to half the wives in America who walk away with 50% of everything on owns, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of
these days. You got to have your P's, your Q's, your T's, your I's, and even your S's squiggled and dotted, crossed, lined.
Lord help you if you just.
And I'd like to plug this in, by the way. If anybody needs any legality consulting, reach out to Kamal Hennessy through Comics Experience. He's 20 years in the business, worked for Marvel, a bunch of big toy corporations, knows all the ins and outs, very affordable. I've used him. Alim's used him. I recommended him to the company that I'm working for right now on this graphic novel that we're writing. Really good in a tight spot, and he's written a couple books that are really got some good stuff in there for independent people who don't want to corporately work under, you know, Marvel or Image and kind of want to do their own thing.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, especially even collaborative events that people can get into, which I'll even promote. I'll promote them now. I was just talking to him before the podcast, Mike Shaw. He has this thing that he tagged me in this post, but it's a inspirational thing. And I also tagged Frank and Alim in it as well. But Pittman's Writers Guild, they're having a Story Storm event. on October 13th from 2 to 4 p.m.
That sounds fun.
Sunset Auditorium, Pittman, New Jersey. Storm your story. Harness the imagination of the local writing community. Brainstorm the plot for your next novel, script, song, poem, or any creative writing endeavor. So, creating something like that, which, I mean, great dude, and an awesome idea, but it also brings it to a community level on that you can get people interested. Like, you know what? I did have an idea for a poem. I had an idea for a song. I didn't know how to write it. I didn't know how to put it out. You have, they're, networking events is what they call them now. But you have a networking event like this just for writers, and people write a bunch of different stuff. There's a whole bunch of different content that we have to create now because, we refuse to let the AI have it. No, that's mine. Yeah. Give it.
That's Lionsgate, who just hired an entire AI company to try and recreate all their 3D assets, hoping to save money and bypass unions.
Yeah, I mean, how dare
that's a whole different topic for another day.
How
man.
dare they want to make a living? We have computers. Yeah, I don't know, man.
But going back to like the parody thing, and
where
copyright stuff and Artist Alley, they don't tend to step on small toes. And right now, the campaign just started the other day. I've been sprucing it up, and I pulled in Delaney Sleeper as a graphic artist. I sent her to Kyle, and we've been trying to meet it up. We got offerings on there. There's probably like over a dozen covers now. A couple of like James Bond homages with Gonzo in a suit. I thought was pretty cool. A lot of Halloween stuff. We did a Beetlejuice. Some of the artists that we have on the campaign right now are pretty big. I'm excited to be a part of it, man. Chris Madd, Joe Doyle, Javon Jordan, Steve Messenger. Pleased when Kyle reached out to me and told me that guestMichael was going to be on Pens and Inks, and the colorist as well, Brian. I don't want to butcher his last name. Brian Maganay. I believe I pronounced that correctly. Which I thought was pretty cool because I didn't think it was going to get that kind of top tier talent.
Yeah.
Because they've both done work with IDW, Marvel, and stuff. So seeing my work come to life through their perspective is pretty exciting.
That's the
what I like most about the project, though, man, is I got to write two of my favorite things growing up. Like I was a huge Sesame Street fan.
Yeah.
I still have my Snuffleupagus. It survived. It's got one eyeball left.
Yeah, I had a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and it did not survive. I left it under my lamp, and like his eyeball like melted. I remember that was a very traumatic event in my childhood, losing my Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Like Frank could speak to this, man. I mean, I don't know if you were like one point in your career, if you ever thought you'd ever get to that level of talent where someone would be like, "Hey, come write the Punisher, or come draw the Punisher."
Never felt that.
You never felt that way at all? You cocky bastard. But when you're doing it though, it's like
when he was inking.
Yeah,
it was still relatively new. You're looking at like what 1920s for any kind of any surviving comic storyline, because they started in the newspapers and then transferred over into comic books. So you're looking at what 20s, 30s earliest, and then you came on the board. Not saying
is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying back, and I was just about to say that, man. Like, I'm not saying back in the 1930s, but you were back in still those Kirby days.
That's Kirby. Well, look, I mean, I was born in 65, and Marvel was like 63, 64. Mm-hmm. So come 68, 69, when they were really digging in their real classics, just before the 70s. I mean, that's when they were establishing real shit. I mean, it's kind of thrown out the window now, unfortunately. But overall, there was an editor at Marvel when I was in the corrections department, and he threw me a bone, and he says, "Hey, Frank, see what you can do with this cover." And it was Sleepwalker. I forget what number. It was over a guy named Kelly Krantz. And, he was really nice. I mean, he just throws, "Hey, Frank, I got a page. I need overnight. Done." stuff like that. So I kind of was a little loyal to that office. So through that, someone threw me a whatever special, I forget, of the Punisher. So it was, I kind of had a bit of a plan, but when the Punisher I felt was like a couple years down the road, but then it was like almost like the first thing out of the gate, out of that office. So I was really happy for that. But
it's a serene feeling though when it comes to you. Like it landed on your desk, you didn't expect it.
No,
you might have read
out of that office. It was just like that office was. They call it the Punisher office. There was the Mutant office, the Spider-Man office, and everything like that. The Infinity office, stuff like that. And they broke it up into different. It wasn't exclusively that. They had other things mixed in, but each one carried a certain
theme,
character, kind of.
Yeah, they're doing so much.
It was Don Daly, and he just said, "Here, hey Frank, see what you can do with that." So actually, I started off with Sleepwalker, which I kind of saw the things that they were doing. So it was a new guy on it, and they tried a new anchor, and it's not bad. And he gave me that book. So
that's the origins. The infamous origins. Look, I told you, October 5th is 1 year. Not to make my hair like a little punk thing there, but in October. Not to say that was a little weird. October 5th, we're watching the Misfits. No, that's not what I was saying. No, but October 5th marks 1 year of Tales of the Hunted.
Get out of here!
Like 1 year ago, Frank and I released the first episode. Ultimate writing advice from Shia LaBeouf.
Oh wow!
Which was
that's the one I was listening to the other day when you invited me, and I was like, "Oh man, I was too busy listening to you talk."
It was one of those podcasts that's where this podcast formed from. That's where I met you, because I met Aleem through Frank, and I was just going over this with Jill of the chronology, of how this podcast came to be, because I've been really nostalgic recently with some projects in the oven and how long this journey has been. I've been podcasting and content creating for over a decade. It's been like 11 years. I'm going to cap it there right now of doing creative stuff. So there's a thing with this that I'm looking back on, and I'm like, no, Frank and I started this podcast from Matt and Cat Show, that stemmed from the Triforce podcast, which stemmed from Matt Man, Old Man's Car Ride, and November 6th, or not November 6th, but the end of November around-ish, like around the 26th actually, is going to be the 6th year anniversary of Walljangers and Walljangers, the content everybody has been enjoying since Matt Man and the Old Man's Car Ride. And it's been a long road. Even with this podcast company and with meeting friends like you through just normal podcasting, both of you, that it means a lot that I can say, oh no, which one of my best friends? Oh, Mike. Who do you meet, Mike or Frank? It's impressive to me. It doesn't matter how you view it, but both of your stations are impressive to me, because you're people that, if I would have just stayed plugging away in the automotive industry, I would have squandered a lot of the opportunities that are in front of me now. And meeting you gentlemen helped me become the Matt Man I am today.
Well, look, I've always had a great time hanging out with you, and from the first podcast till now, and starting this,
a lot younger of a Frank Percy too. I've known Frank Percy for like over 4 years now. Okay, I do want to mention that point. I've known Frank for a lot longer, and he was a lot different looking of a gentleman back then. I don't know. There was a lot less gray in there, but it's it happens. I pluck out the grays right now. There's still few and far between.
Don't be a wuss. Let them come out. You've earned them.
Yeah, exactly.
You've earned them.
I got 4 colors in this beard right now. I'm good. Great.
I'm still young. I'm at that level. I'm still at denial. You
I
guys
get,
are
I
at
get, I
acceptance.
get what you're saying about nostalgia, man, and especially about opportunities. So when this opportunity hit my table, I know it wasn't Disney coming to me and being like, Mike, we got this Muppet thing we want you to do. What do you say? Of course, you would say yes to Disney, right? Anybody in their right mind would say Disney's money is good as
So,
gold.
Mike, how do you
But I
feel
had-
about relocating to Florida for Disney? Like, well, I got to break it to my kids and my
Or
wife.
three guys in silk suits with one with a blackjack in the back of his pocket. You know, one of those things. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, what's up? Let's go talk. Okay, come over here. You know.
Yes, I got no other answer besides yes,
Yeah,
yes,
problem.
Maggie.
Yes, and absolutely. Those or even fantastic. I think those are the only acceptable answers. Maybe that
So
sounds great, but you still
I've always
maybe.
been a fan of like silly comedy, man. Scary Movie, Meet the Spartans. There was another one that did a parody for like My Big
They
Fat
had that
Greek Wedding.
line.
I can't remember.
They had that line back in, what was it, the early 2000s. There were those parody
Yeah, and
movies.
they traveled the lines of copyright, but just enough to be funny as shit.
They couldn't have all been produced by the Wayans brothers. I mean, a vast majority of them probably were, but I can't imagine all of them were. I mean, they have a huge family, so maybe. I'm not going to put it past them, but that's a legitimate question.
All the
did they
credit
make
to
them
Monty
all?
Python. I mean, Monty Python created that type of cynical comedy that we all enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
like Black Knight and all that shit.
70s.
Holy
God,
hand grenade?
Hilarious.
Come on now.
That was,
Yeah.
it was just,
Life of
I mean,
Brian alone,
all out
you
there
know.
hilarious, you know?
But it's
I couldn't resist.
I didn't understand,
this.
but, you know, when they talked about the rabbit, and then there's monks that bonk their head on a board, and
then you have the normal police following this mishap. Like, what happened here?
you're right.
Well, like movies like
It was so
Buzz and Shaun of the Dead
ridiculous.
too, man.
Yeah.
Those are all things, and I've never written comedy before. And one of the things that he asked for was I think it was what are the puppets, the old guys from like the Christmas Carol that pop in and just say
I
stupid
forget their
shit?
name. I used to know their name because I knew
Like Walter
like 2
something else.
customers in my automotive job that looked like them. Like those guys didn't know each other. But one time they both came in at the same time, and I made a joke like, you know what, Mortimer? This service department isn't half bad. You're right. They're all bad.
Exactly, man. Exactly like that.
Everybody has those parody moments in their normal life. That's what it
Statler
makes
and
it.
Waldorf.
It gives you that connection,
Yeah.
you know?
Like, you know that, right? They pulled it from, you know, somebody that they actually know. I mean, or very,
yeah.
you know, and just, you know, beat the hell out of it, you know. And that was, as a kid, you know, that was hilarious back in the mid 70s or late 70s, you know, early 80s. That was hilarious. I mean, like, unbelievable, you know.
Well, even speaking of something,
Sing no, school's out for summer. I mean, I was like gone, you know.
Even speaking of something I saw off a meme, which was there were a bunch of different comic characters when they were drawn. The person drawing them, they were literally looking at an actor or actress that they thought they kind of embody what I want to go here, and they loosely based it off of that person's face. That's where the Wizard World comics, like, those fans got those casting, like Patrick Stewart for Professor X. You know, those castings in those early Wizard World magazines, rather, were, you know, I had a friend who subscribed. He brought him in. He was like, "Look at this fan casting." I was like, "That is fantastic."
Oh yes, yeah.
I think there was a documentary that came out on TV. A lot of the authors talk about that, putting up different types of images or getting images. One guy talked about going to a store, grabbing pots and pans, and they like hung it off a backpack and hung it on a door and just kind of drew a gremlin into the backpack and all the pots and stuff. Yeah, a lot of their art was inspired by, you know, simple, basic ideas of, you know, something inspirational, like something on a desk, and then they tweaked and modified it. And then that's kind of the definition of parody, really.
Well, even my favorite show, Doctor Who, how they got the interior for the famous TARDIS. They had it in the biopic, and it was the prop guy. He was like, all right, you want your show? Here. And it was just stuff he had around. He's like, here, we'll poke out these circles. That's futuristic. We'll do this. There, that's your TARDIS.
Right. Because he probably had no budget. He had no time whatsoever. And he had to almost clutter his studio with stuff because he didn't have time to always go to the library because that was basically, before digital, so all that had to be at his fingertips. So even a pile of junk of household things was
repurposed. Like I saw the original Luke Skywalker lightsaber, the hilt was originally a flash from like an old 1930s camera. It was the handle from the flash for a camera. And they just, all right, we'll just take this off, and there's your lightsaber. Okay. Now, that makes Star Wars seem even more completely ridiculous from a filming aspect. Even just looking at it from back in that, like, I know, like, Sir Alec Guinness, like, excuse me? I remember this.
I'm actually using that camera, sir.
What do you? Oh, okay, that's probably one thing.
Camera.
It's probably one of the things that detracted him from that. Like, they gave me a flash handle, and they're like, "Here, it's a lightsaber. It's a laser sword." And you're like, "Okay, guy, laser sword."
All that stuff.
You gotta make the sound effects too.
Very little money and no time whatsoever. And, we saw the underside of that, Tyrillian battleship underneath it. And it's like, it looked believable, even though there's no such thing that exists that we can refer to. Yeah. But made it little pipes, little toothpicks, little straws, little vents, little this, little that, pieces off of this, pieces off of that, and pull it all together. And you know what? As a kid, it was magic.
Dude, that's why I want to get some prop people on here, especially because prop people and special effects people, like especially in the movie industry,
they have no money.
Magic, literal magic. Yeah. Like, how'd you make that happen? Well, I had 4 Q-tips and a really good lens, so that's how we got those clouds for that nebula. I just kind of dubbed it in there in the back end.
I had a size 6 screwdriver, like.
Yeah, I did that at like 4 a.m. after I rolled around in bed. And I was like, oh, fuck, I got an idea.
Yeah.
I forget what movie is coming out, but there's always those movies that come out, and there was like, hey, this was shot with an iPhone 15. And they show the iPhone. What they don't show is like the $3,000 lens that is focusing that fucking iPhone camera to make it film quality.
$10,000 equipment studio that they get to edit and beef their shit up with.
Can I use your lens? Yeah, we got a lens for you. Here you go. They get a little credit in there, and all right, we're happy.
Yeah.
They paid their bill. The check came through.
Yep.
We're fine.
Credits, man. I'm getting really tired of all these big movies, man, with all these credits. There was like 5 or 6 minutes of credits. It was like 10 minutes of credits after that TV show.
I tapped out when I went to watch Wolverine Deadpool, and I was like, I'll go to YouTube.
Oh, my God.
I'll just fucking go
to YouTube. That should have been a music video.
Because by the end of the movie, you have to pee. And now, it's like a test of fortitude. Like, I can hold out. Like, no. My younger self, when it was like Infinity War and all that, like, yes, this is a challenge. Now it's like, you're an inconvenience that I can pause when you go to the streaming service I pay you for. So, no thank
I catch the after credits on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll look at YouTube.
Welcome to the world of the expanding prostate gland. Okay, thank you. Right? That's all it is, Can't hold out that long, Good hour, maybe, but that's it.
This is really where I feel the hour of indie is coming upon us, because people are getting tired of this regurgitated stuff that they will pay people who don't have. They will pay indie people who necessarily don't have the film quality they want, because, hey, look, we're hiring indie people. You haven't heard of this guy. That's also the point.
Yeah.
I don't know him. What about that guy? That guy did great shit. What about him? No, well,
I think it always comes around full circle anyway, because some of the movies that, at one time were, like I think it's George Lucas. What was that indie movie that he made? That noticed, and so many others,
I know that one. I'm brain farting on it though. I know.
Yeah, I can't remember it. It's some numerical system. I forget the name.
Yeah.
But overall, it just comes around anyway. So you learn it, you become a part of the system. You get the top of the system, and it all collapses, and a new indie person comes in behind you. So I think it's just the way of things. It's just a natural way. Everyone gets tired of the same old nonsense. No one can really do the same thing again and again and again, except Sharknado and crap like that. That never ends. But
that is a thing that you, sir, Mr. Mike, can definitely check your brain at the door, apparently, because I saw that little kid clap. You're like, oh, I love that.
I went into a Sharknado binge like 4 years ago, and I was like, man, I need to get this out the way.
This is also coming from the guy who loves rubber. The story about a psychopathic telepathic killing tire. Okay, and I look at Sharknado, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, so you get to about Sharknado 3, and you're like, this shit is awesome.
Sharknado. Rubber only needed one movie, but they set up a second as a tricycle, and he would have been awesome. Spoiler alert. Not like whenever I mention that movie, people are like, okay, I'll watch that. As soon as you turn it on, they tell you this movie is about nothing.
Nothing.
It means
who's that blonde guy who's basically in the first 2 or 3? He was a voice actor also, but he's was also a face actor too.
Come on, in the Sharknado movies?
Yeah.
He was in some popular, TV series. I think it was. But overall, it just got him, because he was out of the woodworks. I mean, like, he was doing voice acting on animation, cartoons, and then after that, then all of a sudden, Sharknado. I go, what the fuck, But hey,
however you can get it, man. I mean, especially with parody, I think fans love that kind of comedy because that's.
Would you like to know how much that series made?
Sure.
$4.5 billion.
The whole Sharknado.
The whole series from movie 1 all the way to 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, they put like.
But it also at that point made it to the point to where even if you haven't watched Sharknado like me, you still know Shark, and you understand from the description. Like, no, I got it. It's okay, and then you don't have to go into the plot. I'm pretty much surmising what happens. There's a tornado with sharks, and it's devastating. Really. Ooh,
yeah.
You stretch that out, huh? To how many movies? Okay. How high were you people?
Yeah. Who wrote the check? I mean, like, really, what did you do to the guy to release that check to you? I mean, like, really? Because, hey, look, yeah, and all the handshakes and all the wonderful things. Until somebody puts that check in your hand, you ain't got shit. So, what did you do to that guy to literally put a pen in his hand and put his John Hancock on there for like a couple $1 million and say, let's go for it? I mean, that's the real thing. I mean, everything else is Hollywood, all the schmoozing you want, but man, not until that check is in your hand, boy, I tell you.
Are you telling me my politician doesn't actually care about me? I got a spam message from Kamala Harris today, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
I got a spam message.
Did you finally tell you her policy plans? Because nobody knows.
Look, actually, that was a joke because I was at work today and I was like, thank God.
What did she tell you with Bush to hide
This is one thing. I will blow Samsung's dick right now because I'll get a notification for a text message and I'll go to look and then I swipe down and it's like, it's okay. It was just spam. Like, thank you. I appreciate you, motherfucker. I appreciate you. I didn't have to look at that and be like, she's not texting me. You know what I mean? It's never somebody believable. Like, hey, your buddy Greg texted you. I just made this amazing deal. And you're like, Greg, you would have called me. You know, it's never anything believable.
Right.
And it's that phishing thing. Like, look, just give me your information. You have never asked for my information, Greg. Not in all these 6 years of podcasting have you ever asked me for my information, Greg? Why now? What are you planning?
Right.
There was a double page spread that I initially wrote into the script to be like a cameo center. That we were going to feature like other Moppets that didn't kind of make it into the main story of the Moppets Got Talent one shot, and I put a parody of like Bananas in Pajamas. I don't know if you remember that kid show when you were growing up. They were supposed to like
that sounds
parody
way
the Island
too
Brothers.
close to a certain media network that I know. Bananas in Pajamas.
Yeah, Bananas in Pajamas are coming down the stairs. It was like a Barney type show.
It's like a time
In the-
traveler's
and
copyright
all that.
infringement, but it's fine. It's fine. It's a time traveler's parody. All right, a time traveler who was a fan of Projangers and Walljangers. He was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna inspire some of these motherfuckers. I'm gonna go back in time. Bananas and Pajamas. These guys are gonna get. One guy will get this, and it will make it on the podcast. I've seen it. I have to do it now because otherwise you'd get a bootstrap paradox.
Well, I wanted to do this double page spread with like the audience and set up the tone for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to put like Easter eggs in there from like Jim Henson's earlier days, like parody versions of Fraggle Rock and a lot of the puppet work that he did in Sesame Street before he did the whole Jim Henson thing full on with the 1986 movie that just.
I wonder if they still have those puppet guys come out to schools and stuff. You know what I mean? Because it was right off of that Jim Henson thing. They used to have, like, I remember in elementary school, they used to have these people. They'd come out and they'd do their story, but they had, like, these Jim Henson-like puppets, and they'd do their story and stuff. I wonder if there's at least somebody that's still out there doing that.
Like a marionette
Yes.
showmans.
Yeah, just like the classic. You see it in like anime all the time.
Yeah, they're very rare. You see those at Renaissance festivals a lot of the times.
I guess, yeah, you would see that. Yeah, that Punch and Judy thing. But wow, they probably, I mean, I can't even think about the last show. I mean, outside of the Dark Crystal, that you'd even, those kind of people that would do that. I mean, they're there. Don't get me wrong. I couldn't name them. So much like what they look like because they're all hidden. It's like I mean,
nobody's even stopping up to them like these anime American dubbed voice actors now.
Yeah.
Like what was it? I'm forgetting the guy. All for One, but we were sitting next to him at Blue Hen Comic Con. How many people we see just V-line it right for this guy? They've never seen his face. They know who he is. They see his banner. They're like, I want to talk to him. Hit a line. It kind of clashed with the line for the bathroom, but, it worked out. But, people will V-line it for somebody. They've never even seen their face just because they like their voice.
Yeah. It's like, to match a name to a face, you don't know whether he's screaming, or stick him up. I mean, like, there's so many different, I mean, unless it's a specific character, but there's so many that, I mean, you look on there and you see that the American version, maybe another language or something like that, and also the Japanese version I can't read. And the American version is just like, 12 people, they could be anywhere, but they look for them, I go, I'm looking for the animator. I'm looking for the guy who drew that for hours. He's probably psychotic.
He's still there. He's working on it. He's trying to pay his rent.
Meds,
They don't let him out.
Alcoholic, he lives on a cot, with a TV and
he hasn't eaten a warm meal in 4 years. They let him outside maybe once every 3 weeks to see the sun. Other than that, it's vitamin D supplement so he can keep going.
That's it.
Noodles.
Who you thought?
Egg
You thought
soup.
Marvel's special effects animators had it rough. Look at manga artists over in Japan, because they're expected to.
Oh yeah.
And it is considered honorable to fall asleep at your desk because you've been working too hard.
Mm.
Yeah, that ties into that epidemic that they have where men in their 50s were just dying in subways.
Well, they were used to everybody living until 100. Like, hey, we're supposed to get longer than this. Stop working so much.
Yeah.
That is not honorable. I can't do that.
Well, it's a different mindset, over there.
It
Yeah,
is.
so,
Ooh.
but the stuff that they put out since late 70s, all through the 80s and early 90s, man, were just unbelievable classics that, I just kind of gave me an inspiration, but I just couldn't read it. And it just seemed so foreign beyond belief,
Yeah.
So,
well, one of the things,
yeah.
Akira. Brilliant.
God, yeah.
Brilliant.
That guy like married Pitograph. I mean, like literally just did horrible things to her Pitograph,
But I was
They
looking.
didn't have those little micro pens that they do now.
Mhm.
They had Pitographs and crow quills. That's it. So all those fine, detailed, crumpled up sides of the building.
And
Dude,
guess what the Americans were doing? They were doing Disney. They were doing Disney movies. Meanwhile,
really?
Japan, you look at those old like cityscapes they did, incredibly detailed. Like the people that did that, like, dude, my hat is off to you, man. That is a lot. That's almost like that one autistic guy that got viral online because he did the whole entire New York cityscape skyline from memory.
Yeah.
That's what that's that kind of fucking level that you're looking at.
Yeah.
And you're like, you did what? Like, yeah, I mean, it was only on there for a half a second, and it took me 7 months.
more like 7 hours. You have to have that done. Yeah, done now.
Oh yeah,
You know,
no. I imagine it would be like, hey, just get this to us eventually. They'd be like, your clock starts now. It's like they just made reality shows actual business.
It sat on the character's desk for like 3 weeks, but he needs it now. But
yeah. I'm sorry, you are the weakest link, not me, the shitty manager. No. You're
I get that way sometimes about writing.
I'm upstairs. Yeah,
I get that way about writing. Sometimes I marinate on a story and I just think about it and think about it and think about it until someone's like, "Hey, you said Friday I was going to be here. What's up? Give me till tomorrow." And it's like, do. Sometimes my process just marinates like that.
I think a lot of creative people will have that kind of barrier that pops up. It's almost like, when are you sure? You're like, I don't know, am I sure? And it's like when you're just starting the project, that pop up, like, are you sure you want to start a project? It's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I thought I had pop-up blocker like on there. I was just gonna spit out some crap, but
you want to talk about hangups and creative.
You know what? You're right. I really need to clean out all the linen in my entire dryer system. I know I had a podcast to edit, but you know what? It needs to get done. It needs to get done right now. Like, everybody will have that moment. They're just like, you will find something.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to be creative. You will find something to divert your attention.
Like,
I am telling you right now, and you can take it to the bank. In this specific instance, I want to stress that right from the beginning. But in this specific instance, you want to be a lazy fuck. Just do what you want to do. Don't get up and do the laundry. Let it wrinkle. Get your idea out. Okay? You can always just pop it back in the dryer for a little bit. De-wrinkle. It's a setting for a reason, okay? They had it on there. You can let the dryer stuff sit and still get crisper clothes than mine. Because clearly I just said it's fine anyway.
No.
I may
Yeah,
not be
you
the
know, it's all
person to take
anxiety
fashion
and-
advice from, okay? I will put that out there as well. But let the clothes wrinkle and get your idea out there. It may not be a t-shirt.
It really depends on the project. If it's fun,
Yeah.
oh, Moppets Got Talent, man, that was fun. I had fun with that. I did not feel for 1 second
Mm-hmm.
any kind of anxiety or my brain didn't try to do something else.
Yes.
Like when it was time to write that, I
Mhm.
was on that
Yeah.
with it, and I went back and forth with Kyle on, hey, what about this and what about this and what about this. Now you compare that to the situation that's happened recently, where for shits and giggles, I threw in a resume for a LinkedIn online project, wanting a writer to write a short novella on something that has to do with historical fiction. And then an actor by the name of Logan Clark gives you his phone number, and you guys talk on the phone, and he's going to pay you $1,500 and 15% of the IP. And he's talking about, like, hey, Disney might be interested. The person who wrote The Fighter might be interested in making this a movie. And that's different. My mind's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this might be the moment. When I go inside to tackle it, I'm excited, but at the same time, this is like the project that you can't suck at.
Yeah.
So like you have to give it all your brain cells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't fuck up. And so your mind's like, hey, let's do this. But at the same time, it's also like, well, let's just not, because if we do fuck up and we do it, then we'll be a fuck up. But if we don't do it, we won't fuck up. Nobody can say anything. Right? It's that crossroads in your brain where it's like, let's justify how we don't fuck up by not doing it.
But you know what?
How about we go for a walk? Ice cream sounds good right now. Let's
Ice
go get
cream
some
is
ice cream.
amazing.
There you go.
But you know what? It's funny what we're talking about. I just shared this literally today. It's Facebook algorithm is really weird how it's just watching us. But it was be brave enough. It was out last night. It said be brave enough to suck at something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you know, our ego gets in the way. It gets in the way and it stops
Asian
us.
philosophers, like Sun Tzu said that our greatest successes come from our greatest failures.
Absolutely.
You
You
can't,
learn nothing
can't
from
be good if you don't suck at it first.
Yeah.
I mean, you deal with a lot of amateur wrestlers, right? I mean, do any of them go in there and perform like The Rock?
That scene in The Matrix to where Neo first gets plugged in and he does the jump and he falls. And then Mal
This is
says,
supposed to be the chosen one.
what does it mean? And then the one guy goes, everybody falls the first time.
Yeah.
That you have
That's
to
true.
hit that pavement. You're like, damn, that sucked. You know, I think I've told this on a podcast before. When I was a adolescent, Matt, I was really into skateboarding. And one of my birthdays, we went this skate park, Boards and Blades, that was in on Conchester Highway, or Conchester Highway, and went there. Immediately ran in, hopped up, started going in. Nobody paid yet. We just immediately went and they were like, "Hey man, go down the vert ramp, go down the vert ramp." And I was like, "Okay." Went down the vert ramp and face plant with not these glasses, with glasses, like, fuck. Helmet on. Something up here was protected. And then they're like, "Oh, damn, do it again." I did that like 5 times before we paid. You have to have that masochistic mindset when you're doing something creative, though, because you have to be willing to fail. Because if you don't try, it's in the ether. It's not happening. You know, the Moppets didn't happen because you're just like, man, this is a good idea, and then you just left it alone.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the things we talked about, me and Kyle, when he set the Kickstarter up. He's like, man, if this thing just nosedives, I'm going to print it anyway. I'm like, good, print it. Take it to New York Comic Con, show people. Let's do more homage covers. I got way more ideas. I'm talking about Moppet Metal Mayhem. We're going to do Twisted Moppets. Twisted Metal parody. Like, I got so many ideas from this shit. Like,
oh my god,
we
I want to
could
be
do
involved in
a
Twisted
Puppets,
Moppets.
a Moppet Star Wars.
I definitely want to write something for Twisted Moppets. I think that would be so awesome. A Twisted Metal Muppets parody. That would be so amazing. Oh my god.
Right?
Especially if you take that in any kind of way. You can just have that. It's like, all right, you know, Moppet Call of Duty, Moppet, you know, the Elder Scrolls. You could just whatever you want with
Man,
these
that would be a
parody
dope one.
characters. And especially like Elder Scrolls. I know somebody who knows that shit very well.
Oh yeah.
Also
Know that shit
in the
very
company. He's a George Orwell character in the Perjangers and Walljangers network. Thank you, Mike.
The voice from God.
Inevitable Mike. Yes, the George infamous 1984 character he is would definitely be a very good choice for a Moppets Elder Scrolls tie-in. And maybe Bethesda will get off their
Moppets
ass.
Go to Oz, bro. I mean, Moppets Go to Oz. How cool would that be?
Moppets Go to Oz would be fucking great. Although you have to specify the Oz, because wasn't Oz also that prison show with the guy from SVU?
Maybe.
You know,
try not to make it a good omen thing.
Not that either of the ideas aren't great. I'm just saying, if you're doing that, be very specific and make sure you edit it first.
Moppets read the Bible.
That's a little bad. Yeah. No, don't edit straight up.
You won't get hung. You won't get crucified anymore. It's okay to blaspheme.
No kids. No kids. Straight up mature audience. That's it.
Oh yeah. No, this is definitely a mature audience.
That's it. That's it. The MA title for the fans of the Moppets.
Fozzie's hat just kind of adheres to a corner of his and just stays there like magic, right there. Not the one up top, just right there on the side. Oh,
like
man.
Are you kidding me? Like that old school anime character, it's like right here, and you're like, how is that physically possible? I don't know.
Hey.
The Blow parody with Sesame Street.
If I put it anywhere else on my head, it falls off, but it stays right here. I can't explain it. And that's there you go. And it's just an awkward conversation while you're walking somewhere.
Like, yeah, the parody is definitely
fence,
not
bro.
all
Like,
ages.
it only stays right here. I'm so sorry. I know it's awkward. And then silence and just a couple panels of them walking and then one of them walking faster. I just want to get away from you.
Oh, God.
Dun.
Although the prison Moppets, that's a definite idea. I mean, I want to see Kermit shank somebody. I want him to be like, the head boss. That would be totally fucking badass.
No, Kermit is Tobias. Okay.
Yeah. Piggy would be the boss.
Oh. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Oh my God!
He would just be like almost passed around. I mean, it's like it's just horrible. It's just horrible.
Respectful freak.
No, I mean, I figured Fozzie would be very, very, very poorly treated.
No. Fozzie's the guy. Oh man, God, it's been so long. But
Spirit never dies, man. He's just like goes with the flow.
Yeah.
He could be passed around in prison and he'd be like, it'd be okay. I get out in 35 years. Waka waka.
Title of the fucking podcast. Holy shit.
More positive, Kermit. What you could do is make funny noises while it's happening, so it's like you're not even there. Waka waka.
No, you don't. I'm telling you, you don't want to rape him. It's awkward. How do you mean? I just need to let it out. Like after 2 minutes, he's like, I couldn't, I can't. He's like, that's why he doesn't get passed around. That's why
As I
Fozzie.
would finally get his
That's why
moment.
Fozzie Bear doesn't get past a M. May also be a podcast title contender right there as
Well, Moppets Got Talent doesn't go that hard with the parody.
well. Woo! That's what happens when you go into the dark humor of the
But it's definitely
Batman.
not for
We are
kids.
going
Yeah.
there. I'm telling you. There's some great stories coming out of Projectors and Walljangers that are not that dark. I swear to God, we have great
For
projects.
free.
Going to Hell special.
We have a lot lighter projects coming out. All right, this is
Oh, man.
this is
Do
about
not
his
pass
project,
go. Do
not my
collect
demented mind.
$2. Straight to hell, in a handbasket. Oh, man.
But this is a great project, man. I mean, parodies. I mean, porn has been profiting off this enough. I feel like it's time for the indie market to start capitalizing on this more.
Yeah,
because it's not just the
a really good
Muppets.
challenge
I mean,
too.
you look at the Winnie the Pooh parody, the horror, swept through social media, and everybody's like, "I'm not gonna watch it," but it's like Sharknado. Like, I'm glad I know that exists.
Yeah, that thing rode on a wave of nostalgia like no other, and then nosedived also.
Aren't they doing another one with Steamboat Willie?
Boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might. I'm not gonna lie. That one, if they do it right, might be actually interesting to watch. Like,
watch the trailer. You might have second thoughts.
Okay. I'm saying, like, from a writer's perspective, like, if you look at that, like, come on, Steamboat Willie made as a horror, dude, you can do that so well. You can do that so well. And just make it really creepy. Make it a timepiece, too. So that way you even do it all in black and white. And then you just have it as this random fairy that pops up for these people when they're stranded. Like, oh, look, we can just go over
a Southern
here.
horror movie on the bayou. Yeah, there you go.
And you just pop onto this. Oh, I don't know what's happening. Well, look, there's a steamboat. We'll just hop on here. Looks well enough, a little bit aged. They go on, and then they find out, like, oh no, this is where you die. Except you get turned into like an old timey, copyright free, suable free, character from that time, and you go inside, and it's like one of those old casino boats, and it's like a whole bunch of those characters, and it's like a zombie thing. So where if they touch you, you get infected, and you start turning into one of those characters slowly. Because then you get zombie, and you get everything else with the parody horror.
I'd sit through 90 minutes of like a tunnel of love, Steamboat Willie pursuit type thing.
It's all you, man. No way.
You can
Swan.
But that's the thing with this. All right, you have that. You have Winnie the Pooh. They did horror. Horror is very easy to do. It's that I'm not just shitting on horror, and I'm not saying all horror is easy to do, just to clarify. But
no,
it is typically where people who write start out, and then they evolve from there, because it's very easy to go to your dark place and write something out that is, oh, this is a fictional thing I did. It's called Tales of the Morgue, Unfortunate Deaths in Unfortunate Ways, Episode 2, Until Death. This guy literally buys a faulty device for his wife, and they both die. That's the episode. That's an unfortunate death.
You writing podcasts in your podcast right now? You breaking the fourth wall?
No, I literally wrote
mindset.
that was an animated series I wrote for a while ago in the podcast network, the Tales of the Morgue, Unfortunate Deaths in Unfortunate Ways. My buddy Joe Palladino and I. And it was all unfortunate deaths. The first one is this guy shaving, and he has a dog, and his dog has a ball. That's it. He leaves behind him because he came in, or he was doing something, went in to shave, and slipped on the ball, cut his throat, and died because it was like a straight.
Oh, geez. I've had a few of those instances.
So mine
almost with stepping
a cheating
on toys.
husband who was late for an anniversary dinner that came home with a shitty, faulty gift, and then they both died. Both are unfortunate. Once again, horror, very easy to write. That idea also evolved. The first thought, like, I started to write out, was that a husband and a wife get trapped in a basement, and they end up killing each other.
Wow.
You see how the end result and the beginning idea evolved there? It definitely turned out differently, you know? So sometimes you have to just be willing to go with the flow with your idea and accept that this idea is not good, but something I did about it is, and I need to change it and move it in a different way.
Well, with modern technology, I don't think you could justify two people coming to the conclusion that they need to murder themselves.
That's
the death
why
to
it
get out
ended
and
up with a
survive, like,
faulty
yeah.
device, like a fucking off-brand Keurig, I think is how I described it. What an off-brand Keurig, like, hey, why that was too expensive, but here you go. Look, bah. They get fucking barbecued, and there you go. That's unfortunate.
That's
That's unfortunate.
He was a cheating husband who bought a fucking shitty gift, you know? I mean, look. We all evolve, including understanding of definitions, you know?
Yeah.
It was a good idea, so we worked it in there. We have a whole bunch of ideas for that, but anything animated is so fucking expensive. All right, Peter Roman. All right, Peter Roman,
Hollywood
or whatever the
stuff,
animator that did episode 1 that just dropped off the face of the earth. I mean, I really hope that Russian guy is alive. We stopped hearing from him, and he's like, hey, I got a different guy. I'm like, yeah, well, what about the first guy? Like, he was Russian. Like, was he like what happened? Like,
some friends, lots of money. He's no longer of value to us.
You know, I mean, even now, he's
in the
probably dead.
gulag.
I don't know.
He's in the salt mines, you know, mining salt, you know.
He's on vacation.
It's one of those things like, hey, can you finish the episode?
No, he will not be around anymore.
We will let him finish the episode and then get back to salt mine. Yeah. Must appease the Americans. Can't break the plans. You know, world's crazy.
Not many people are looking to appease us.
I'm really surprised.
Unless they want money.
I mean, there's so many different like espionage ideas you could do just with world events right now. I'm surprised there aren't more.
Oh, I know it.
You know,
I know it.
Blacklist was a great show.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, you could write a whole story on balloons.
Like actual balloons, or was that a show?
Yeah, man. Buy balloons.
Okay.
Like the Chinese balloons, man, that they sent over here.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. I was like, oh, just balloons in general? Like, I mean, yeah, you could, right?
Oh, no, technology makes those stories kind of lame now because it's just like one guy in a fucking drone room watching through a balloon in the sky, like, okay, and so giant patches of grass. You're like, where's the espionage in it?
There's no man with a cigarette. What is this? There's nobody in the
keeps
corner.
floating over a nudist camp, you know, and it just won't. It's constantly in this, you know, seniors nudist camp, you know, and the guy's, you know, so do his best to get out of this, you know, whatever wind, you know, vortex or whatever, you know, just can't, no matter what. He keeps photographing over this.
Look, I forget what I heard from back. I forget what I heard.
Horny Asian.
Yeah.
I forget what I heard. I think it was in yesterday's President's Daily Brief or one of them with Mike Baker, but like Hamas, like they were using pagers because it was low tech. Israel, send them faulty pagers. Like, where the fuck are you finding pagers? We found pagers. Like, really? How'd that work out?
Scrap, junked, or repurposed?
Where are you finding? But even if you wanted to find a pager, could you find a pager right now?
Yeah, I wouldn't even.
Does Amazon? You know what? We all have computers right in front of us, and I'm asking this question: like, does Amazon sell pagers? Like, they probably do. They have. You can buy a house on Amazon.
eBay.
Yeah. Right now, you can buy a house on Amazon.
Amazon.
You can pause this podcast, fact check me, and say, "Holy shit, Matt Man was right." You can literally buy a house on Amazon.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave your house for anything anymore. Even if you want to buy a new house.
Alpha Pager AP 700 825 Plus goes for $149 on Amazon.
I feel like that is way too much for a pager. $149.
Nothing like the pager.
Where you have to then pick up another device and call them from that.
eBay has one, a vintage Motorola for $39.
Like, could you imagine that? Like, you're standing in the grocery store, and all of a sudden you hear beep, beep, beep. What the fuck is that? And this guy like looks down at his little fanny pack, and he's like, "Hang on." I imagine he has a fanny pack. He's like, "Oh, hang on. I have to call Greg." He's always named Greg, in case you guys are wondering. It's just a nice name. If you're named Greg, I'm sure you're fine. It's not an attack against you, but it's a good, just white guy name. You can make fun of white guys as much as you want, especially if you're white. You're allowed to hate white people if you're white. It's also another key fact for you guys. But you can't hate Moppets Got Talent, a new parody comic. Mike, you also had the poetry book that you were involved with.
Get out of town. What?
Yeah. So
Mike
There's a lot of projects, and this is we talk a lot of bullshit, but I also want to highlight
a lot of irons in the fire, boy. I tell you, I never heard of that one before. There you go.
You know, I wrote so much in the last couple of years between short stories and like finally stuff is just starting to come out, and I was really surprised by how fast Moppets came together. But we celebrated our 2-year anniversary at the Writers Guild on the coast this past week, and our first year we did this poetry book called Oasis of Light.
Hey, there it is. We talked about that in a silly little podcast.
I wrote 3 poems in here, and my wife wrote one, and 19 other members of our guild collaborated with artists at the art museum where we hold our meetings. And we put this together inside of 6 months. It was featured at the Mississippi Writers Book Festival this past weekend. Nobody bought any books, but we did a lot of networking. The president of our guild did, and we spread the word. But it's now sitting in all 4 regions of the local libraries. So it's going to become part of a staple here on the coast. It was great, a really cool experience to be able to collaborate with artists, man. As a VP for the Writers Guild, I was really proud of everybody involved.
That's amazing.
Poetry is not my first staple of writing, but it's not nothing. It's not a format I'm unaccustomed to. When I was younger, going through the motions, poetry was something that I leaned onto really, really heavily. Okay. Because poetry for me runs hand in hand to music. Yes. And so when I was learning how to play acoustic, I was learning how to play acoustic. I was learning how to write songs, and they just kind of transformed into poetry. Like, I still have a notebook from when I was 17, 18 years old. And a lot of them are kind of rated R because, as 17, 18-year-old men, we're going through some changes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of those are like all into the Taylor Swift age of like love. So a lot of them would appeal to 40-year-old lonely women.
Fans. You don't need that hate from those fans.
Cool.
There. He's
but a lot of the
it sounds like you're a hater that's gonna hate.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. You just need to shake from the
lovey-dovey and the sexual stuff. I wrote a lot of poetry that was very observant, analytical, and philosophical in nature because I observe a lot, I analyze a lot.
That was also a horrible segue to have after commenting Taylor Swift, and I just want to point that
I hate to bring that up, but she's the only artist. There was a whole bunch of
sexual, that was not a connected thought, fans. I just want
to.
She's
the only artist. It wasn't
in history. Taylor Swift wasn't even a thing when he was writing that.
So long.
It wasn't a connected thought. Was my.
I was trying to do for the podcast, man. Apparently, Taylor Swift is an ad gem to have. So where Taylor Swift goes,
we're based out of Philadelphia, sir. Okay, she's like a queen around here now. Okay, don't mess with the Tay-Tay.
Don't mess with the Tay-Tay. Oh. Well, the Tay-Tay can't mess with the Oasis of Light because it's based out of Biloxi.
Also,
She's
if I could get her on this podcast, it would be really fucking cool. So you know what? We're gonna love Taylor Swift around here.
If that's the case, let me know ahead of time so I can say a little prayer, drink some Bloody Marys, and make sure my soul is good to go.
Jill started listening to a Taylor Swift song that she liked, but because I parody that Taylor Swift haters song to my dog every day and night. I parry that song because his name is Link. Nickname I have for him is Stinky Link. So I'll let you guys sing that song forever. Stinky Link, yeah, yeah. And now that's gonna because now you hear all the songs she did with my dog's name, and then I'm gonna get a text from Frank at like 3 a.m, like, "Fuck you." Thanks, man. I forgot to set an alarm. I was supposed to get up now anyway. Oh, I appreciate that.
Okay. Do not put my head. Okay? Please. Knock on your door at 3 o'clock in the morning. Fuck you. Fuck out. Take this back.
Punch him in the nuts.
I don't care. Yeah.
Take that, Stinky Link.
Yeah, Stinky Link. Here.
This is what a hater's gonna do.
Gonna hate.
It's like watching Rick and Morty. That episode they went like deep. Like when I'm bored, I find myself doing that. Doop 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 doop. It's like down the hallway, and I'm like, "Fuck."
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to do that, but my brain's like, "Hey, I want to say this thing."
Those
Let's
common like songs that just get stuck in your head, and
yeah, it's like subconscious sublimation. Like, hey, listen to this thing.
Yeah, for months they're just stuck in your head and random moments, and you're like, "Damn it, get out of there!" You wish you could just like, no.
Oh yeah, like fucking Dumbledore from Harry Potter, just like
just pull that head. Get that out of there. I said you're not allowed in here.
Guys are places I've never been, and I can't follow you. Okay, I'm just saying. All right. No.
Look, Frank.
Never sit through a Harry Potter movie. Couldn't do it. Okay. Taylor Swift. Man, I can't turn that channel fast enough. Okay. Jesus. Holy moly.
I've worked in a customer service setting to where I can't change the song to where that song is what you hear all day. All day. The whole time, whether you want to or not. I remember working at CVS. Gonna hate.
I remember working at Pier 1 Imports when Marvel was tanking, and they played, what is it? The Golden Girl, not Golden, the Dream Girls. And I'm telling you, I don't want to hear it no more. Okay, please. No, I'm so good. Okay, no. I'm not gonna listen to that, please. So
everybody has those songs, and you
and I'm telling you, you're the best fan I've ever had. Please, I don't want to hear it no more. I don't care. Be lonely.
You hear a
Be
new
lonely.
song, and you're like,
okay,
no, this
it's called alcohol, girl. Try it, okay?
Buy some cats.
That's a
don't throw out ideas. Just throw out bad songs.
Friend, okay? Johnny Walker will be your friend. Harvey Wallbanger will be your friend. So I don't. Yeah, there you go. So I don't want to hear it. No.
Oh man, I'm gonna tie up this podcast with.
Yeah, please. Okay, it needs a tourniquet, really, but hey,
it does. We've been bleeding out. We've been bleeding out, but
we're nowhere.
I want to tie up this podcast conversation segment with the idea that is to come, which is Perjangers and Walljangers are going to have 2 specials coming out for their fans in the future. The first one is going to be a docu-series called Life of an Indie Pro Wrestler. And our first wrestler that we are covering is none other than, you can see him on Tales of the Hunted podcast. And when we went live with Delco Live, Tony Yolanda, La Crema.
La Crema.
And he is our first docu-series subject in the life of indie pro wrestlers. And my business partner, Christopher Bristow, is helming that project. So we are working out all the finer details, a lot like all content creators do. You work out the finer details and create the ultimate project that fans are going to love. And that's what we try to do here at Perjangers and Walljangers, is show you where the indie level can start to give you alternative entertainment that isn't formulaic. It's not something that it's not something you've seen all the time. It's not something you see done. People taking ideas and putting it in their own imagination and letting you see what they create. So that's a lot of what you're going to see in the future. We got a lot more Tales of the Hunted coming up, a lot more projects coming up. So you guys are going to enjoy the rest of the year that we have planned for you. And Mike, where are, if any events that people can see you at, see your stuff? Do you have anything like that planned for this year, next year?
Outside of the event that I attended the other day, not really. I've got too much going on. I can't stop. It's one of those you got to get it out before it goes away type things.
Right.
So while I know it's pivotal that you plan things in advance, especially for like the 2025, I'll probably come in hot around August of next year. But in between planning like a softcore digital, media press style print or publishing company,
God, that
and
sounds
then
so dirty.
doing all the live stuff and intellectual property acquisition stuff and trying to set all that up.
Yeah.
I've got no time to go out and promote what I've already done. So
Just
maybe
watch
next
me.
year. Yeah, like sometimes you just got to put yourself in a cave and go to work, man.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I feel like that sometimes. And I don't want to go in the cave, and I'm like, no, I don't want to go in the cave. But once I'm there, I'm like, oh, I love this cave. So
but you can see me quite often on our silly little podcasts and whenever I decide to jump in on Tales. So
absolutely,
I'm around.
Man. I mean, we're going to continue to make amazing content together, and the fans have a lot to look forward to when they look at Projangers and Walljangers, especially our close and trusted friends. So you are the always and ever ultimate Walljanger, and I feel so happy having you back on, buddy.
Absolutely.
Man, I appreciate the sentiment and the support. It's not easy to be humble about that stuff, especially someone like me. I didn't grow up with a lot of support behind me.
Yeah. Shake your shit, baby. Shimmy, okay? Who cares? Shake that ass, boy. Shake that moneymaker. Go for it. Don't be shy, please.
But,
I'm not.
Shake what your mama gave you.
I'm really happy with Moppets, man. It was good turnout. We had a lot of good people involved. If you want to support it, go to Kickstarter and look up Moppets Moppets Got Talent, the final act. If it takes off, we got big plans for it for the next couple years, including a New York Comic-Con appearance, which I'd be excited to attend. So please make this campaign a success.
I'd be
and
surprised
check out
if
Richard KTJ Collectibles online.
I'd be surprised if Richard didn't already back your campaign, because the man is always out there looking for different awesome ideas like this. So I think a lot of other people will too. So I think they're not going to have a problem after this podcast and in the future getting people on board with this. Are we bothering you?
Listen here, Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was mascot hero time.
Don't worry about it,
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the hero time.
Dingle's just like, I gotta pee. Hurry up.
He got distracted and then he started licking his foot. So, that's how puppies are. But so I got hang on. What does this taste like? Haven't you ever been there? I think we all have.
I appreciate it, man. And don't forget to include images in the post edit part too. These covers are pretty awesome.
Oh, I am going to be adding images all over this. I'm going to be decorating this entire podcast all over face, neck, and chest. So I want people to look at this because it's a very interesting premise for a comic. Because when you go off the premise, you can really hone in on the idea that you want to convey in the story. So I think a lot of people will really connect with the idea that you're putting out there. I know and trust you as a writer, so I know that they're going to love it. So it's a no-brainer to have you on here. So that
this is the idea that I came up with, and I wanted readers to totally be in sync with this. And everybody loves to have a choice, right? So the premise of the story is pretty simple. In order for the Moppets to save their theater from the Sesame gang, they gotta do what they do best, and that's talent. So there's a talent show. So it answers the ultimate question: who's the greatest pair or greatest group of puppet entertainers ever? The Sesame Street Gang or the Moppets? You decide.
That is so entertaining. That is so entertaining. I love that.
Everybody's got an opinion, right? Let's argue about the facts.
I love that. I love that.
So it was fun to play with, and I love to do it again. Can't wait for people to read it because I gotta know what they think about it.
100%. I think that everybody's gonna really love it, and I think they're gonna love our next silly little podcast that they see, as well as all the stuff that comes out on this media network. Mike, you're always welcome on the network. You're a part of the network, and we're gonna keep doing stuff, all of us together. And I guess there's nothing else to say in this podcast to our fans besides we love you, we miss you, and we want to see you the next time. Until then, game on, Walljangers! Bye-bye!
Play on my channel.
I'm sorry. As a school photographer, I can tell you, it's it's way easier to photograph children than it is high schoolers. I mean, sometimes
It's a guy who takes headshots at kids.
It's what it is with a camera.
It is what it is.
With a
Can't
camera.
avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
I say we nuke this site from orbit and just, that's all we got. I say we just take off, nuke this site from orbit.
Look, I mean,
fucking A.
There are a lot of like heartfelt moments and really awesome moments when I'm doing this, and as I'm shooting these children with this camera, it's so very.
That's going to be up there with cornholing. You know that, right?
That's very true. It will be up there with cornholing a bit. So it's just a shame that the party at the park had to turn into party at a park. But I had a blast. I don't know about you.
I had a good time.
It was great for the charity, and we got a lot of things planned. FAFO coffee is out for sale now.
I saw
at Death of the Fox Brewing Company in Jersey. And
we're in Jersey. We're in Jersey.
Where in Jersey is that? The Jersey part? Oh, 20 minutes from here, from us. Yeah, we're going there tomorrow.
Deptford or something like that?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Cherry Hill?
You want a car ride to the Death of the Fox Brewing Company with us tomorrow?
I could drink coffee.
Oh, we'll stop by and pick you up, man. This is a fucking journey now.
Fire the day. I don't care. I mean, I'll sell you up all night. So what?
Oh, hell yeah, man. You could buy like a little. It's whole bean, but it's Guatemalan roast. Okay. We went. I know Big Brother drinks coffee, but his sense of taste is off. So I went to Chris, and I was like, "Hey, man, these are the options. What do you think?" He's like, "Guatemalan." I was like, "I was thinking Guatemalan too." Just from the description, it was just like, "Oh, citrusy," and I was like, "I have never tasted citrus in coffee ever."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, still bitter. Add cream. I don't know. I'm not the coffee guy, I don't drink your bean juice, but I will offer you a option to donate to charity and get your bean juice in the morning. Forever aware for others, which is the slogan of the Timothy J. Bucurel Foundation, and that's why we have the FAFO coffee, #FAFO when you're drinking it, FAFO. You have to know how the anagram goes for the slogan. So we got a great slogan, we got a great charity, and it's time to kick off this podcast.
Bye.